I've been to 3 countries. All 3 of them are called Bulgaria. The first one is where you cross from Hungary to the Iron Gates, and the town of Vidin is its capital. The other Bulgaria lies across from Wallachia, and its capital is Turnovo. The third Bulgaria is where the Danube empties into the sea. Its capital is called Kaliakra. Johann Schildberger, 1396. More than 7,000 years ago, in the vicinity of the medieval Bulgarian capital Kaliakra, lived people who had surpassed by thousands of years the other prehistoric cultures in their development. Durankulak Black Sea Archaeological Park. 7,000 years of European culture. The earliest proto-civilization on the old continent. The oldest stone architecture in Europe. The first treated gold in the world. Durankulak Black Sea Archaeological Park is 96 kilometers away from the so-called sea capital of Bulgaria, Varna, and 6 kilometers away from the border with Romania, close to the town of Constanța. Park. It takes half an hour to get to the big Bulgarian seaside resorts, the Golden Sands, St. Constantine and St. Helena, and Albena. The road takes you through Bocic, which is famous for the palace of Queen Mary of Romania and the only botanical garden on the Balkans. Then it meanders through Kavarna, where the medieval castle of Chirakman is erected, past the rock necropolis and fortresses of Cape Kaliakra and Kamen Bryag, with their breathtaking dramatic landscapes. The archaeological park is located on the Big Island and the western shore of the Durankulak Lake, which has been declared a protected area for the rare steppe plants and a great number of rare species of birds and animals that live there. The excavation works in the village of Durankulak began more than 30 years ago, under the supervision of Professor Henrietta Todorova. The archaeological findings in the Big Island village necropolis and those on the western shore of the lake prove the following. This site had been populated by all those tribes: Thracians, Scythians, Sarmatians, Bulgarians, and some people who had lived even earlier, who we still do not know how to name. Those people had lived in the times that precede by thousands of years the first known writing of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Therefore, experts name them after the cultures left by them: Hammond-G, Sava, and Varna. It was during the end of the 6th and the whole 5th millennium BC when the inhabitants of Durankulak created the oldest proto-civilization on the European continent. They erected the most ancient stone structures. They were the first to treat copper and gold, and have left us the world's largest prehistoric necropolis from the New Stone Age and the Copper Stone Age. This is where, for the first time in world's history, people treated gold with their own hands. This is where you can launch on a journey in time and see the most ancient architecture in Europe. The Durankulak Black Sea Archaeological Park showcases this unique culture. When the first people to reach the Durankulak Lake set foot on its western shore, they liked it so much that they built their homes there, small huts with dome-like roofs dug halfway into the yellow soil. They lived in them for more than 3 centuries. The shore gave the people everything they needed. That is why they showed no interest in the nearby hostile rocky peninsula. In the beginning of the 5th millennium, though, something happened that changed their life forever. The lake water swept over the narrow strip of land and destroyed the connection with the shore. The peninsula became an island, and the people moved to live there. They gave up on their huts and began erecting new types of houses, with a trapeze-like footprint, the short side built to the north because of the frequent cold winds. At first, people constructed 1-meter-tall stone walls. Over them, they built thick clay layers with roofs made of cane, straw, and grass. Then, they whitewashed the inside with clear clay and decorated the walls with mineral dyes and paintings. Most of the houses had a floor area of 150 to 170 square meters. All the kinfolk lived in a house. The oldest streets of Europe formed the plan of the village. The architects of those times never allowed any deviation in that plan, because the island was not very big and nature was too severe. Life in the 5th millennium was not an easy one. People ate roots and wild fruits, fish, clams, deer, steppe donkey, small mammals. They used to grow primitive crops and breed stock. Those first stock breeders and crop growers had very little in common with the present-day farmers. Hunting, fishing, and scavenging were still of crucial importance, as they provided not only food, but also the materials of vital significance for that age: horns, bones, skin, and wool. They used these materials to make tools, clothing, and home utensils. Tools and weapons were made from rocks, flint, and copper. Those people wore clothes made of skin and canvas, woven from plant and wool threads, utilizing a primitive weaving technique. They used to make adornments from beads decorated with gold, copper, chalcedony, malachite, bone, and seashells. Those decorations were very elegant, showing the high aesthetic standards of the people of those times. The pottery they made is no less impressive. The craftsmen making pottery did not know the potter's wheel. They used to make everything with their hands, using primitive molds. However, the pottery of that time shows an excellent feeling for the form and incredible decorations. The same craftsmen made the special pottery which had to accompany the dead in their afterlife. The people of Durankulak believed in life after death. They buried their beloved in a specially designated area on the western shore of the lake. Men were buried lying on their backs, their heads to the north, while women and children were buried in fetal position. Tools, pottery, and food were laid around them so that they could make use of them in the next world. This is how, over a period of 1,000 years, the world's biggest prehistoric necropolis appeared. What the burial rituals of the Big Island's inhabitants were, we will never know. Most probably, they were closely connected with their beliefs. "2,000 years later, during the Bronze Age and the times of the Trojan War, the Big Island was inhabited by another tribe, the predecessors of the ancient Thracians. During the 6th century BC, the shrine to Cybele was erected. Cybele is a Thracian Phrygian deity that exists in the Greek and Roman pantheon. She is the goddess of earth and the mother of all gods, the omnipresent and omnipotent. This is the only rock shrine to Cybele discovered on the Balkan Peninsula up to date. The shrine is built in a natural cave in the rocky foundation of the Big Island. Inside, a sacrifice podium is dug out, a well for ritual cleansing and ritual alcoves for the gifts which were an integral part of the Cybele cult. For many centuries, pilgrims from all parts of the world visited the shrine to the mother goddess to seek her protection. Much later, during the Middle Ages, the Proto-Bulgarians inhabited the Big Island. They built a big village with a fortified stone wall on its southern hill. Their dwellings are scattered all over the island. They are dug halfway in the ground with either a circle base or a quadrangle floor plan and a stone foundation. Unlike the Neolithic houses, the homes of the Proto-Bulgarians were much smaller, about 30 to 40 square meters. In some parts, they were built almost next to each other. The former village plan with its straight roads was swept away. So was the shrine to Cybele. In the middle of the island, the Proto-Bulgarians erected a new shrine. In the beginning, it used to be a pagan holy place with a round shape. Christianity transformed it into a small monoapsidal church, thus preserving its holiness and keeping it as the sacred focal point of the Bulgarians' prayers to their new god. The times have changed. In the beginning of the 9th century, life on the Big Island ceased, never to be revived again. Visitors to the Durankulak Park can not only view the monuments of the past, but also learn the ancient craftsmen's secrets and cook their own meal or make their own pottery using the tools and the techniques from 7,000 years ago. Every year, in the beginning of September, an international arts fest takes place in the open air among the prehistoric dwellings and the shrine to Cybele on the Big Island. In the end of September, a folklore festival is organized with authentic Bulgarian folk dancing and singing, traditional rites being acted out, and retro fashion shows. The Durankulak Black Sea Archaeological Park represents a period of human history that has lasted for over 7,000 years, from the first proto-civilization through the Middle Ages up to the present day. When you're so close to history, why don't you try and reach for it?